So basically, in the United States of America, we have about 600 mass shootings that happen every year. And sometimes that goes up and sometimes that decreases, but it's usually right around 600 mass shootings a year. And whenever we talk about mass shootings, we talk about like 3 or more shootings in the United States of America. So we're not talking about like, 1 or 2 people. We're talking about 3 or more. So every day in America, we have like 2 mass shootings. What in the hell is going on that we have that kind of violence that's erupting every day in the United States of America? And people always act like, well, it doesn't happen in my state. Well, I guarantee you it has happened in your state. I guarantee you it's happened in your state, but maybe the local politicians have like covered it up and they're not talking about it, or they're blaming the wrong thing instead of blaming the right thing. People always talk about like, well, let's take all the guns away. And that's like a far extreme kind of view. Let's take the guns away and we won't have mass, killings, mass shootings. Well, you wouldn't have the shootings, but you'd have bombings. You would have other ways that people would actually like act out in violence. Timothy McVeigh, he didn't go in with a machine gun and start blowing down, plowing down people in Oklahoma City. He created a bomb. And if you're somebody who actually can go on the internet, you can find out how to create a bomb. So the problem isn't with the guns necessarily, and I'm not somebody who's a big fan of guns. I grew up with guns because I grew up in the country. I know how to shoot weapons, but I'm not a big, massive fan of them, but I don't hate people who have them. I don't understand why you need to have 300 or 400 of them. That's just me, and I don't understand why you need to have, an automatic machine gun kind of weapon, if you're going to go out hunting for your family, because actually you don't need that to go out and go hunting for your family. So there's arguments to be made about that, but I don't think necessarily getting rid of the weapons is the issue. The issue is, why are people so unhappy? Why do people feel so marginalized? Why are they in such anxiety? Why is post-traumatic stress going on to such a level? And I would argue that there probably isn't a mass shooter out there that isn't going through post-traumatic stress disorder. They probably all have anxiety issues. They all probably had trauma on such an intense level, probably at a young age, and they probably all have been bullied, whether it's at school, whether it's at work, whether it's in their neighborhood, whether they believe it's in their family or something similar. So we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing? It's not the weapons, because they will find other ways to lash out. If somebody has it in their heart, they want to kill a lot of other people, we have to change their hearts. I can take the weapons away all day long, but guess what? They're going to get a bomb. They're going to create something else. There's 1,000 different ways that you could actually do the same thing with the same results, if not higher numbers, with or without the weapons, with or without the guns. And I'm not a person that loves the weapons. I'm not a person who loves the guns. I had an uncle, he had 400 guns. He was a gun collector. And there was a guy who broke into his house one night and held him, at point blank, probably less than a foot away from him with a loaded shotgun, and told him that he was going to take all of his weapons. And if he, moved, he was going to blow his head away. And he loaded up all the weapons and he left the house. And my uncle called the police, and the police said, well, it's your word against his word. And he says that he didn't take your guns. That is what I worry about with all these people that have all these weapons. If you think that you need one to defend yourself, you need one. You don't need 500. If you're somebody who's a collector, you need to have a storefront. You need to have a vault. You need to have something like that. You don't need to have them just laying around your house. People who have evil intent, they know you have those weapons. They're going to come for those weapons. If you're somebody that think getting rid of the weapons is going to solve all the mass shootings in the United States of America, it won't. If you got rid of all the semi-automatic weapons, it would decrease some of the fatalities, and that would be a good thing. But who's to say that person who has evil intent in their heart wouldn't find another, more dangerous way? I told somebody a long time ago, and this was true then and it's true now. If you got rid of all the guns, people would start making bombs and blowing up schools and blowing up buildings and blowing up businesses. I don't think the numbers would be less. I think the numbers would be more. So we have to figure out what's going on. Why do we have all these people who are traumatized? Why do we have all these people who feel so disenfranchised with society? Why do they feel like they're not included? Why do they feel like everybody's out to get them? You know, we want to blame them and say, well, it's all on them because, you know, I was tough enough that I got through it. Well, maybe they're not tough enough that they can get through it. We have to start asking the bigger questions to figure out the correct answers. I'm not somebody who's a big fan of guns. I'm just not. I think, you know, and this is just me. I think most of the people who have guns are scared. I do. I think if you're somebody who's very self-assured, you don't need a weapon. And that's just me. I don't think, you know, whenever cops show up, you know, looking like the freaking army showing up on somebody's door, I don't think that de-escalates anything. I think that raises anxiety through the roof for everybody involved. You know, they're no different to me with the gun violence than the criminals are. We have to start asking the right questions as far as how are we going to take care of these problems with mass shootings? 600 a day. 600 a year. Almost 2 a day. You have to be asking the right questions to get to the right answers. The right answer isn't necessarily, well, let's just get rid of the guns. They'll make bombs. Well, we'll get rid of the bombs. Well, they'll do something else. Why are people disenfranchised? Why are they hurting? Why do we have this anxiety? Why do we have mental health issues that are going unresolved? Why do we have people that are living at poverty that are barely surviving, and it's going on for decades and decades and decades, and we act like that doesn't matter because you know what? They're supposed to be able to pull themselves up from their bootstraps and get on with life because, you know, that's the American way. That's bullshit. It's not always that simple. You know, whenever we look at people who are homeless, we always think, well, you know, I can never get there because those people, you know, they just didn't do the work. That's bullshit. You don't know what happened in their life. And you don't know what's happened in the life of the person who could be the mass shooters in the future. I'm not talking about the people who's already done it. I'm talking about the people in the future. We have to stop doing stuff and acting like it has no consequences. We got to stop bullying people. We have to stop marginalizing people. We've got to stop acting like when we put people down or we act like they're wrong or different or something like that. Well, why in the hell is it any of our damn business to judge them at all to begin with? It's not. You got to look at the people who are putting you down and put them in perspective. You know, the best thing that anybody could ever tell you about high school is you're going to graduate from high school and you're going to go on with the rest of your life and you're never going to see those idiots again. And most of the people you went to school with were jerks, were idiots. And we don't want to admit that, but it's true. Most of the people that have caused you pain in your past, your job is to get past them. It is. Don't let them have control over you. The best revenge in life is success. It just is. But we have to also look at society, what we're doing, that we're creating these people in the future. You know, if we have some idiot father out there saying that he likes his son being hostile because it gets an immediate reaction out of people, and that he would rather his son be a mass murderer than be gay, that's absolutely asinine. That's absolutely asinine. That's just like somebody saying, I would rather my child be dead than for them to marry somebody of a different faith or a different color. That's asinine. What you should do is go, you know what? If you disagree, walk out of their life and be done with it. You don't need to pass your judgment on somebody else. We've got to change it, and we've got to change it for the better. We have to make this whole living condition that we all share better for all of us, not just for some of us. You know what? If you're rich and well off, you don't have the stressors that some people have in society. If you're somebody that's really, really poor and you have a hard time just finding your next meal, and you have a hard time taking care of the problems that you have in your family, and then on top of that you have people making fun of you or judging you or belittling you, it takes a toll, and we got to change the way we do stuff. There isn't one student that was a mass shooter at a school that wasn't bullied. There wasn't one. If you ever like take classes in psychology, they say, well, there's never been somebody who has a multiple personality that wasn't sexually abused as a child. It's the truth. There's always cause and effect. If we're gonna stop the mass shootings, we have to stop the bullying. If we're gonna stop the mass shooting, we gotta stop being dismissive and judgmental and just total asses to people who are different than us. You know what? We see this crap on TV and we think it's okay to always like be putting down certain people, you know, because it's like funny, it's a joke. It's not funny and it's not a joke. You know what? Don't let the stupid punchline on a TV show, the jerk that in real life, if he really acted that way, nobody would be his friend. You know, TV shows are very skewed and they kind of like affect people in a very negative way, you know. What you're seeing on TV is a persona, is an act. Don't be like that. Be a decent, good person because you don't want the person that's hurting now to become the shooter in the future. We've got to change the way we think. We have to. You know, 600 events a year. Sink that in because whenever you think about it, we've got 50 states. I mean, do the math. Do the math. We're talking about at least 12 mass shootings in every state in the United States of America every year. You know, you don't see them all. We don't talk about them. We talk about the big ones, but they're happening all the time and they're happening all around us. You know, we've got to change it. Stop the bullying, stop the hate, stop the judgment. It's that simple.